Oh, I got a hit then. I got a fish. Wow, that hit me hard. Hi, my name's Roger Osborne. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how I catch these beautiful yellowtail for bait. It's super easy. It's something you can teach your kids to do. They can end up being your bait catchers, which is epic. And I'm going to go fishing off the rocks with them. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to be explaining to you how to use yellowtail. There's several ways you can use them off the rocks, but I'm going to be giving you some detail in this video. And I'll be showing you everything, my hooks, my rods, my reels, and all my equipment. Stick around to the end for a free PDF download, which will outline some vital keys from today's session. If you're enjoying my videos, remember, if you haven't subscribed, it's totally free, helps my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Let's get fishing. Well, the ocean is out of control today, so I decided I'm going to stock up on some really good bait. Now, the Aussie yakka or yellowtail is absolutely amazing. They are such a good bait, either dead or alive. I think my friend's just caught one. No, that's a tailor. Well, you got a tailor, there you go. So I'm down at the local harbour and I'm going to catch some beautiful yellowtail for bait, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. And you know, catching yellowtail's a lot of fun. And if you've got kids, you know, you can train your kids up. They can have a ball catching yellowtail and they can be your official bait catchers. How good is that? Anyway, I'm going to show you what to do. I've only just got here. I've done nothing as yet. Just quickly, if you're as passionate about fishing as I am and you really want to improve and enjoy it even more, why don't you join Roger's Fishing Online Fishing Club, my membership. I've got some amazing people who are members, and we all share our information with each other. There's so much content on there. There's all my fishing courses, plus there's a heap of stuff that's not available on YouTube. And there's no lock-in contracts. You can leave anytime you want. So head on over to rogersfishing.com and check it out. I just got a few slightly manky pilchards in this bag. You can see in there. Now, I find that when you're fishing for yellowtail, burley makes a great difference. These things make great cutting boards. That's where you slice your bait up on top of the doobies, the pylons. So I'm going to use the more crushed up ones for burley. The better ones I'm going to use for bait. So I'm going to whack them there. So yeah, that's a good one for bait. So all I'm going to do for the burley, I'm going to put a couple there. I'll show you what I'm doing for bait in a minute. Is I'm actually just going to chop them up into little mushy bits, because the pilchard has a really good scent. It's very oily and it makes great bait for a great burley for yellowtail. So I'm just even going to crunch up the head. Got a lovely pile of bloody goop there. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to whack a little bit of this pilchard just in the general area where I'm fishing. I'm just going to chuck it in the water like that. Might put a little bit more. I can actually see the tide carrying it that way. So I'm just going to toss some a little bit to my left, like that. Now we're going to get some for bait. You've got to be so careful if you hook a fish, those cormorants try and knock it off. Go away. Now for bait, I'm actually using fillet of pilchard. So I mush some up for burley, but I'm going to fillet one up. So I've got my pilchard here. They're pretty soft. Oh, thanks, mate. Oh, beautiful. Someone's giving me some burley.
There's some good bait there off the Exage too.
Awesome. So there's one pilchard fillet. Turn it over. Then we're just going to run the knife. That's a bit mushed up, isn't it? Pretty soft, actually. Now I have a fillet of pilchard which I'm going to slice into little pieces. Now you can see I've got my little fillet of pilchard here. All I'm going to do is slice this into little strips, about so big. You can see those little strips. You can actually use pilchard fillet for bait. It's really good bait. It's really slippery stuff, this. So I got about 7 pieces out of that one fillet. Now I'll show you the hook I'm using. Can you see this tiny little hook? Now this is actually a hook that I use for Luderick. It's a size 8 hook. It's green. I use it, I put weed on it when I fish for Luderick, but it's perfect for yellowtail. And all I've done is I've crimped a split shot sinker about 25 centimetres up the line. It's just a little split shot, that's it. You've got that little split shot sinker on there, about 25 centimetres to my tiny little hook. And now I'm going to put on one of those little pieces of pilchard fillet. But I better chuck a bit more burley in the water. Okay, so I'm picking up one of these little pieces of fillet. I'm just going to gently put the hook through one side. Actually, it didn't go all the way through then. And then, you see it's already gone all the way through. Then I'm just going to pop it through the other side of the fillet and just pin it. You can see you've got that lovely little piece of pilchard fillet, and that's what I'm going to toss out in the water. All right, let's see if we can catch one. What I'm going to do is just untangle my rod. The line is wrapped around the rod. Yeah, that's it. Just get it uncaught up from the end. I'm only going to flick it out a little way. Going to let it sink down in the water column. All right, let's wait and see if we get a bite. Yeah, I'm getting a nibble. Or I had a nibble. Oh, I got one. Cool. First cast. There you go, look at that. First cast in the water. What do we got? A yakka. A beautiful yellowtail. I've got to hold him fairly tight because he wants to jump around a bit. So you see, that's how simple was that? Just a little hook, a split shot, a little tiny fillet of pilchard. Make sure that you're burley. Now he's actually, oh no, the hooks, I can get the hook out pretty easily. Now I'm actually going to keep him alive. I'm going to get some water, put it in my bucket. I'm going to whack him in this bucket for a second. I need to get some water, so I just bought a surfboard strap, tied it onto my bucket. Yo, actually. Oh yeah, look at that. Come on, a bit more than that. Oh, that looks pretty good. Oh, that's pretty heavy actually. Now I can put my yellowtail that I just caught in the water. I'm glad that I beat that bird, that he didn't knock off my fish. So I'm going to whack another piece of bait on, get it back out there again, and toss a little bit more burley, I think, in the water. All right, just whack it back out again. Oh, I'm getting a bite already. I just felt something. I thought I had a bite anyway, but that bird is right there. If I hook a fish, I'll have to be quick. I think I might have lost my bait already. Yeah, I did, straight away. Oh, had him on, but he got off as well. Gotcha. Beautiful. Another wonderful little yellowtail. What a great fish. What an awesome fish they are. You can see that little hook just on the side of his mouth. I get excited when I catch these because I know I'm going to use them to catch bigger fish. Oh, we got away. You can pretty much use any small rod and reel. You only need light gear. So I'm just using, this reel's really a little bit too big, but I've got a light fluorocarbon leader of about 10-pound line just attached to my braid. And the rod's a bit stiff, but it's okay. You just got to flick this little bit of bait in there and probably be a little bit more fun with a slightly lighter rod. You just need pretty basic gear. Gotcha. Sometimes their bites can be a little bit tricky. They nick your bait. But they are such an awesome fish for bait and to eat actually. Did you know that in Japan they actually have charters specifically targeting this fish? They are highly sought after in Japan. People absolutely love them. They love eating them. So I'm going to bait up, just need to get a couple more. Gotcha. Wow. They are great fun to catch and really good to teach kids. You know, if you live anywhere where there's a harbour in Sydney, there's so many wharves and things where you can catch yellowtail. You can burley them up with a bit of pilchard. Now, another tip about catching yellowtail, sometimes during the day, they can be a little bit harder to find. Always burley makes a massive difference, but when you start to get to this period where the sun's setting, they actually bite much better at night. So they are really good for night fishing or early morning. Now, I think I've almost got enough. Oh, man, that was quick. Beautiful. Gotcha. All right, I think that'll do me. I've got half a dozen in pretty quick time. Lovely bait. What a cracking little fish. It is so much fun catching them, and they're not hard to catch. They are so worth it. They really are a 5-star bait. So why not get out there and catch some of your own beautiful fresh yellowtail. You can use them fresh or you can freeze them down. Actually, if you have one of those vacuum packages, they're fantastic. Suck the air out of them and put them in the freezer and you are set to go. Now the weather is a little bit turbulent. We've had some swell, the swell's dropped off a little bit. I've been having a close look at the way that the waves are hitting the rocks today. Because did you know that it's never the same? You might have one particular rock fishing spot, but depending on the direction of the waves, they could hit the rocks differently, pop up in a different spot. So it's got a lot to do with the direction of the waves as well as the size of the waves. So I'm having a good look. I'm going to stand back from the edge a little bit. I can walk a bit closer, cast my line out. I've noticed a particular part of the rocks where the waves are not breaking so much and where they are. So this is all really important when you're rock fishing. You want to be totally safety focused. If you are safety focused, then you can have a wonderful time and catch some great fish. So just got to be wise. Obviously I'm wearing my stainless steel spikes on my feet. I've got a life jacket. I know this area and I'm very aware of the waves, the size of the waves and the weather. Also, it is low tide. I don't think I'd be able to do what I'm doing now if it was high tide. So that's also a big factor in where I'm fishing today. It's really important to remember not to turn your back to the waves. However, you will notice today, maybe a couple of times I might do that, but I'm not alone. I have my camera person with me and they are also keeping a close eye on me and the waves. So really, I probably will hardly do that. But if I happen to turn my back to the waves, you guys understand I'm making a video and I'm not by myself. Anyways, now I want to fillet some of this yellowtail. I'm going to use some slabs of yellowtail. So I've got some here. I brought down a cutting board to make it a little bit easier to have a nice firm foundation for filleting. You can see I've got a couple of yellowtail here that I caught. Aren't they great fish? They're absolute cracking fish. So all I'm going to do is just go under this little fin here, up towards the top. I've cut straight in there. Now I'm just going to come round the corner and follow the backbone. I'm going to move my fingers in a minute. I'm just slowly working my way along there. Then I'm going to put my hand on the other side to take the rest of that fillet off. And you'll see I'll put that there. Look at that. That's awesome. Now I'm going to turn it over. Just going to repeat the process on this side. Just sneak up under there, I want to get all the meat off there. Turn around, come down, follow the backbone, pull it out like that. And then look at that. I do know people like to eat yellowtail. You can, they're really like cocktails, I guess. You take the little bones out of there, but you could actually have a nice little fillet. The flesh looks good. Now, I'm actually going to not use the whole fillet like this. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in half long ways, like that. I probably could have scaled it, but I'm just going to use a couple of long strips for bait like that. While I'm here, I might actually cut this other one as well. So I'm just going to go down the middle. Oops, he's a bit soft, that meat. That's all right. Just going to trim that bit off. So then I've actually got a couple of strips of flesh there as well. That'll be okay. So there's a couple of baits for me to start off with. So that's from one yellowtail. So I basically got 4 baits from that one yellowtail. You got a really, really nice strip like that. I've got my line down here. I'm just going to grab it. I'm using a running paternoster rig, which means I have my, you've got see my swivel there, and I've got a 2-hook rig. I've got a stinger hook, but that is actually moving through the top of my dropper on that swivel, and I've got about a 600mm drop to a 4-ounce snapper sinker. It's a pretty standard rock fishing rig. And now I'm going to put this bit of yellowtail on the hooks. So you can see I've got my hooks here, got my bigger one, slightly smaller one. I want the smaller one to kind of be more up the top here. I'm going to put this bigger one here through the flesh and then out the skin and then back that way, like so. I'm going to sit him in there. I'm going to do a similar thing up the top. I want to be right up the top of the fillet. So I'm just coming and just going to pin this in up the top like that, and then like the other hook, I'm going to come back through the skin like that. So that, and I think I might put a half hitch around there just to hold that. So there I've got my fillet of yellowtail with my small hook and my big hook in there, and that's a lovely bait. Ooh, alrighty, first cast of the day. Woohoo! I'm excited. It's been a little while since I fished off the rocks, not all that long. I've been on the beach a fair bit, but yeah, it's good to be down on the rocks, I tell you what. Let's do it. Let's see how long it takes to get a bite. Actually, before I do, I'm going to put those other bits of bait in my bait keeper thing, so I don't have to wander back here if I need another bait. This is a lovely flat shelf. There are not too many potholes or deviations in it. And I've noticed today that you can see the flat shelf runs right along here into the corner, but the waves seem to be hitting the shelf a lot harder to my left. Right in this corner just here, just the way the waves seem to be hitting it today, they're not hitting as much just in this corner. So I'm going to be basically walking out here, casting my line out, just coming back about 5 meters from the edge. But the waves are better here. This is just something peculiar to today because the swell, it does have a bit of north in it, which means it's coming straight at me. So I'm just going to wander over here, put in a reasonably decent cast. I'm just looking at the terrain in front of me as well, because there's a couple of little potholes. Where I'm standing here, there's a couple of little holes. Then directly in front of me here, it's just as flat as a tack just here. So this is great. And also, because of where I am, I can see the waves coming a long way off. Now, I'll just need to be careful if I'm landing a fish. Anyway, I'm going to just ping this out. So that's a pretty good cast. I'm actually landing on sand out there. I'm well and truly out into the sand. I might prefer to actually cast a bit further out to sea, closer to the reef, because I'm just out in the middle of nowhere on the sand at the moment where I landed. Doesn't mean I won't catch anything out there, but I think I might like to be out near the reef a little bit more. I mean, I'd be more likely to catch snapper if I'm closer to the reef. Out on the sand, you do get snapper out there, but yeah, I'd rather be near the reef a bit more. We'll just see what happens. You can see there's a couple of waves just rolling in through here. But I'm at quite a fair distance from the edge at the moment. Let's have a look at this wave now. Okay, so it's going to whack on the rock here. It sprays up a bit, but it's really only coming over, 15 centimetres above the rock, not much. It's interesting, when you're down on the rocks a lot and you see where the rocks are and where the sand are, everything's always being rearranged. There's actually a lot more sand here than usual. Further out along this point, I can see there's a big finger of sand going out there. That may tempt me to have a few casts up there, I reckon. because I'm kind of more out in the snapper zone if I'm up there. Comes a bit of a wave. Look at this one. Let's see what happens. See, it's good that I'm standing back where I am here. Look, it's just coming past my ankles. I'm really safe. I mean, if I was only a few metres from the edge there, I would get a bit wet. But it's pushing this way. It's not pulling me out to sea. Feels like I'm stuck on a rock. I might need to wind this in, or try and wind it in. I am on a rock. Oh, that's annoying. That's one of the hazards of rock fishing. What you got to do is just put it over your shoulder. It might pull off the rock. Oh, man, that's on tight. Oh, I got it. I lost my sinker, my hooks, everything, obviously. So that's interesting where I landed then. It looked like I was landing on a lot of sand. So first cast I actually got snagged and I lost my gear, but I've made up a few rigs. I made up a few at home, so I'm pretty good. Doesn't take long to get back up and running. Just testing my line to see if it's got any bearing or fraying or anything of any kind on it. Already only 2 knots and I'm back into it. So I'm actually going to walk out along the point a little bit further. As I was mentioning before, I think I'll just head out there a little bit further and head out towards the reef a little bit more. It's like when you're beach fishing, you make adjustments based on what's in front of you at the time. Because we're here to catch fish. Alrighty, we're going to go for a little wander. There's a lot more sand out here than normal, heaps. It's a little bit of a roll of the waves from right to the left. There's lots of barnacles on the rocks where I'm standing, but you know, when you are on the rocks, barnacles are actually your friend because they give you grip. So my aim is to cast out beyond the reefy edge, out onto the sand. Just going to watch these waves, just go for a little walk over here. There's lots of lovely cabbage weed here. Tell you what, the Luderick must be having fun. Here comes a little wave. Alrighty, let's see how we go. Okay, so definitely landed in the zone. Now there's something important I need to tell you. I've cast out over a rocky shelf onto a sand bottom. One of the challenges is, whether you've got a fish or not, you've got to come in and up over that rocky shelf. So if you hook a fish, you've actually got to really lay into it and fight it as hard as you can. You've got to get it up in the water column, away from the bottom, and you've got to be mindful of that rocky edge, which is out there that it's like a bit of a wall you've got to come up and over. But when you do that, you know, you can very often actually get stuck on those rocks. Now, if I pull my line in to check it, if I haven't had a bite, I need to wind it really quickly to get it up off the bottom and bring it in so that I don't get hooked on the rocks down there. That's just part of rock fishing. The rod that I'm using is actually 13 feet long, which is actually really good. I love it. This is a great rod. I use it a lot off the beach, but you know, when you're fishing off the rocks, it's really an advantage to have a lot of height to hold your line up over the waves, and it helps with casting, helps with a lot of things. So I'm enjoying this 13-foot rod. I've got a lot of 12-footers, and recently I bought a 15-foot beach rod, which I haven't blooded yet. Getting some small nibbles. Yeah, something small's having a go at it. Definitely not a snapper bite, that's for sure. I'm going to put it in. I want to get it up off the bottom and get it in quickly. Beautiful. Yep. So I was able to retrieve that relatively well. My bait is pretty much intact. I was getting some small rat-a-tat-tats. I actually struck in the midst of it because I thought I may as well. Sometimes you're gonna, I mean, it could have been a trevally, they bite very softly. So I thought, well, I may jag one if I strike in the middle of all the bites, but I think it was obviously something pretty small. So I'm gonna throw this bait back out again, but thankfully I didn't get snagged. My line has washed a little bit to the left from when I first cast it out, because you can see these waves are rolling in. And I feel that when the swell hits my line, it just drags it a little bit to the left. That's what happens. I'm feeling a few little nibbles and bites, but I haven't had anything of consequence. And I landed out on the sand, but I've probably been dragged back relatively close to the rocks. So I'm possibly in a little bit of danger of getting snagged at the moment. So I probably need to actually give this a big yank, pull it off the bottom and get it in and cast out again, because I've drifted back in towards the edge of the reef and the rocks. That's not a bad zone for fish, but yeah, I'm not really, I think I need to toss out again. So hopefully I'm not snagged. I'm going to give it a big heave-ho. But there you go, look. I am on the bottom. Hang on. Yeah, it feels like I'm caught on some kanji or something, actually, because I can feel it dragging through the kanji. Oh! But whatever it was, it just broke off either way. Well, that's 3 casts, 2 snags. So you guys, you're not alone if you've been snagged a few times. I don't know how many thousands of times over the years I've been snagged off the rocks, but, you know, sometimes you get snagged lots, sometimes you don't. It's just how it works. Still good. There's lots of weed here. So much beautiful looking weed here. Great bait. It's starting to get a little bit late now. It's getting darker. What's happening with this guy? It's just a bit of a surge. Yeah, and there's a bigger wave out the back, so I'll just cast this out and get out of here. All right, I'm going to get out of the wave zone. Just come back this way a little bit. It's good to have a few waves and a bit of wash, but it does pose its challenges with surge and look at this, plenty of power in that. It does pose its challenges just with water movement. But sometimes in these conditions you can get some really good quality fish. Woohoo! That's a little bit chilly. Yeah, I've got a big creature of the deep. Ooh! I have a big creature of the deep. It's pulling line. Woo! This is not the bottom, it's just a big creature of the night, creature of the deep. I'm going to get a little bit closer to the edge. It's probably a big Port Jackson shark or something like that. It's going to watch the waves. It's coming closer towards me. It's a big, heavy thing. Now, whether I'll be able to get this up or not, I'm not sure. I'll have to watch the waves. Oh. It is so heavy, this thing. Woo! Gosh, it's got some weight in it. Oh. Come on, man. Get up. Whoa. Whoa. Man, it's got a lot of weight in it. I'm barely budging it. Just going to go to the left a little bit. Oh, I might have to tighten my drag just a bit. and try and muscle it. Whoa! My line might break at some point. Whoa, sheesh! That was obviously a really big, heavy thing. I don't think it was a stingray, but it was some type of bottom-dwelling shark or something. Super heavy. It pulled really hard, then it broke my line. Obviously not a desirable thing to catch, not an edible. You hook quite a few of those things when you do this type of fishing, but it made short work of my 15 kilo line, that's for sure. Whew. It's always fun. Hey guys, I've learned a few things this afternoon. Starting to get a little bit later, I've lost 3 rigs. I just got busted off on that really big heavy beast of a thing that I had on. But it's interesting because the terrain has changed a bit since the last time I fished here. It looks like there's a lot of sand, although there's obviously some rocks because I've been snagged up a bit. So I'm going to come back probably in the morning and just check it out a little bit more closely. Hey guys, I'm back down at the rocks to continue this video. It was a little bit fruitless the other night. You know me, I don't like to waste time, just like to get into it, and if it's obvious it's not happening, I'd rather pull the plug and then come straight back at a different occasion, because sometimes the fish are there, sometimes they're not. We don't know why, but the only way you can find out is to come down. So looks really beautiful, and I'm going to head back out to the edge and whack a bait out. Oh yeah. Where that just landed, I can see out in the water there, there's some reef with a channel in between it. It's like you've got rocks, which are dark coloured, and then you've got a light coloured, it's kind of like a driveway of sand bottom, and then beyond that there's more dark, which means it's more reef. So I wanted to get past the first reef and onto that sand in between, and I pretty much nailed it. It landed exactly where I want to land. So now I'm just going to wait. Such a beautiful afternoon. Really, it's awesome to be able to be down here. When you're rock fishing in conditions like this, it is pretty relaxing because there's obviously no big waves. Super safe. I used to jump off the rocks in these conditions. I'd run and do a dive and get wet, have a swim, especially in summer. And then you just use a wave just to give you a lift back up onto the rocks again. So I was having a fish at the other spot. It was obviously quiet, nothing happening, so I decided while I still had some light, beautiful time of the day, that I'd switch rock platforms and try a different spot. So I am ready to go. My line was already rigged, all organised, so I knew it wouldn't take me long. So I've probably got about half an hour, I reckon. Enough light to see if I can catch something. It's a matter of where do I cast, that's the question. Because I'm facing some broken reef, a lot of broken reef, little sand patches. I think I'll aim for the sand to get out past the reef to the sand, because I can see it's reachable from where I am. Actually, if I come down onto this corner over here, I'm going to have a little bit of a better vantage point. There's very, very low swell, so I can definitely reach the sand from where I'm standing here. So this will be good. I'm just going to get right on the edge of the reef in the sand. Okay, where's he going to land? Yep, that's pretty good. Now where I've landed, if I don't get any bites or if I lose my bait, I can't just wind it in like I was off the beach. What you've got to do is wind up the slack line and give it a huge heave-ho, and then wind flat out to get your sinker up off the reef so that you're coming along the surface and you can avoid getting snagged that way. So I know I've got beyond the reef right onto the edge of the sand. So often you find snapper inhabit those places. So we'll soon find out if there's any snapper out there or trevally, etc. But hopefully that will be the go. Oh, I got a hit then. I got a fish. Wow, that hit me hard. I'm gonna have to put a bit of pressure on it because I want to get it up off the reef. But that fish bit quite hard. It bit like a snapper would bite because it hit me really hard. And it's actually pulling quite hard right now. How awesome. I'm gonna come over here near the edge so that I'll be able to land it. It's pretty safe. I reckon this is a snapper. I could be wrong, but I reckon it's a snapper. Where is he? Just looking for the fish. Getting closer to the shore. Where is he? He's getting near the surface here. Getting him up. Oh, look at this. What a cracking snapper. Look at that snapper. Woohoo! Come here, get out of there. Get a load of that. Now that's what we want to catch when we come down to the rocks. Beautiful fish like that. What an absolute screamer. So it really paid to change spots because this was my first cast in this spot and I've got a beautiful eating fish. Better get my line straight back out there. So, I mean, that was awesome. I mean, you can get it at first cast better than that, but that's a pretty darn good first cast. And look at my rig. I've got a main hook and a stinger. Look what has caught this snapper. The stinger hook has got him. Good old stinger, the deadliest rig does it again. So I was aiming to cast on the edge of the sand and the reef. That's always a place snapper seem to congregate and they like to feed up along the edge of where the sand meets the reef. So when I cast my line out then, I landed probably, it looked like from here, 3 or 4 meters beyond the reef and onto the sand. And I probably waited about 3 or 4 minutes before I actually got a bite. But that was no mistaking that bite. He just went whack. And, you know, I knew it wasn't a rubbish fish, that's for sure. All right, now let's get back out in a similar zone to last time. Yeah, pretty much landed in almost exactly the same spot. Let's see if there's some more snapper out there. They're not normally loners. It's so good when you get a decent bite. Quality fish like snapper don't muck around, they just go whack and they hit it hard. When you're getting these kind of slow, sluggish bites, usually that's things like stingrays and Port Jackson sharks and stuff like that. You pretty much landed in exactly the same spot. I know I already said that, but I had been thinking about trying to cast in different spots around the reef, but it didn't take too long to get a bite. I brought some pilchards down with me in this session because I actually ran out of yellowtail. So pilchards are always a great standby. Yellowtail would be just as good, but I had a block of pillies in the freezer and grabbed a few of them because a half pilchard, that's what I'm using at the moment, is just a half pilchard bait on a paternoster rig and it just flies through the air really well. Oh, this is another snapper. It's another one. Whoa! Snapper number 2, I can tell he whacked it. Gosh, he hit it hard. I think this guy's a little bit bigger. Gosh, he whacked it hard. Oh, this is going to be a nice fish. Hopefully I can get him in. Yeah, I tell you what. Woo! 2 casts, hooked up on 2 snapper. That's the way you do it. Okay, now this guy's going to be a bit bigger than the last one, I believe. I'm trying to get him up off the bottom towards the surface of the water so that he doesn't get tangled in the rocks near the shore. Here we go. Woohoo! Ho-ho-ho! Look at that! He's actually a very similar size to the previous one, but he fought really hard. What a stunning fish. He's pretty thick actually. Just struggling to get my hand around him, but how's that for a beautiful Aussie eating fish? Look at that. So worth putting the time in, and in this case, really worth changing spots. Man, 2 casts, 2 cracking snapper. I think I better get it back out there again. So here's the bait I'm using. I've trimmed the tail on the pilchard so that it's more aerodynamic, it doesn't flap in the wind. I pull the hook all the way through, then pin the main hook in the main body part of the squid. You can see, sorry, not the squid, the pilchard. You can see it's only a half pilchard. Then I'm pulling up my stinger hook and I'm fixing that in the tail end of the pilchard, through once and then through again. I pull up the slack line and then do a half hitch around the top of the tail like that. There you've got a beautifully presented half pilchard bait with 2 hooks in it. Well, we've still got some light, so probably got time for a couple more casts, but already got a lovely feed of fish. Okay, here we go. Whoa! Just a little one. You know, I waited about the same length of time for that second fish as I did the first fish. It had been sitting out there for maybe 3 or 4 minutes before I got whacked. And it did feel a little bit bigger, but it was the same size. Have I got a fish? I don't think so. I'm pulling it up off the bottom. I had a bite. Wasn't as aggressive as the other bites. So I'm keen to get my line back in and not lose my hook and sinker, which I think I'm good. Actually, I've got a small fish. What have I got? If you'd like a free PDF download of some vital keys from today's session, hit the link in the corner or in the description below. I can feel some small bites. So what have I got on here? I'm just pulling it in pretty quick. Oh, look at that. A mongrel. That's not what we want. 2 snapper and then this fella. These things have got quite rough skin. And he certainly didn't bite anything like the snapper. And he's just been caught by the stinger hook. So I'm going to carefully try and, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it out of there, but he actually has quite sharp teeth. Off you go. I just have to do a gentle little lob with this shark. Out you go, mate. Okay, just going to see if I can hook another one of those lovely snapper. Get out there before it's totally dark. Beautiful. Just step back away from the edge. I have my drag reasonably tight because if I hook a fish, I want to put a little bit of muscle on it. And I've actually got some 40-pound mono on this reel. It's a relatively thin 40-pound mono with my leader's actually only 30-pound, but the main line's 40-pound. So that's good if I do hook something really big. Now, what's the story here? I had a bite there and it wasn't an aggressive bite like a snapper. More of a lazy bite like that last little shark. I've got something on here that's small. Yeah, I wonder if it's another one of those sharks. There it comes. I have a feeling it might be the same thing. Yeah, look at that, another one. So my first 2 casts were 2 absolutely cracking snapper. My next 2 casts have been 2 of these little fellas. So I think that might be a good signal to knock off and go home while I'm ahead, although still a fair chance to catch another snapper, but it's getting dark, so I think I'll head off. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I trust that you're learning a few things. I always try to explain things as clearly as possible. And make sure if you've got any questions, just let me know in the comments, and I will see you really soon.